Hey y'all, it's Steffi and welcome back to my channel. I just got inspired to just sit down to chat with y'all about a topic mulling over in my brain, and I was like, why don't I just pull out the camera and start chatting with y'all about it. Today's friendly sisterly advice is going to be about money. When you are first getting out of college, one of y'all had messaged me, 100% am not judging whatsoever. Like, this is a normal and a concern that I definitely had when I was coming out of college. Person contacted me and said, I have my MBA and I have passed the CPA exam. I'm starting in public accounting or starting in the accounting industry, and I'm seeing that the average salary for an entry-level person is between $50,000 to $60,000 and doesn't feel like that amount of money is commensurate to how much work they've already put into their education. And let me just say, I totally understand the concern. Logically, you would think that how much education you have gotten is commensurate to how much money you're going to be paid. And at least in the accounting and finance industry, that's not necessarily the case. It may be the case in other industries. First of all, yes, that is a very common range for someone's salary who's fresh out of college, no matter what type of degree they have or if they have their CPA exam already passed. I mean, that can help you get your foot in the door in a company, probably give you a competitive advantage above someone else who doesn't have an MBA or has passed their CPA exam. But in terms of the actual salary range, it's probably not going to vary that much more. Maybe you'll get a little bit more, $65,000, but as a staff, entry-level accountant, auditor, tax person, whatever the case may be, there is a cap at where that range for an entry-level person is going to be able to get their salary.
One thing that I did forget to mention is that most public accounting firms will actually pay their employees a bonus whenever you pass your CPA exam, typically within a few years time frame. Is going to depend on the accounting firm. So if you have passed your CPA exam before starting your new job, it is possible to negotiate with that accounting firm to get that bonus because you've passed your CPA exam. Of course, that's going to vary, and that'll be something you'll have to work out with your recruiter or with the hiring manager, something you can look into, and it's usually between $3,000 to $5,000.
Of course, it depends on the market that you're in. Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would be so surprised if someone got more than $65,000 as an entry-level person, and I mean that would be like at the high end of the range. I know that sucks and it's not what you want to hear, but the reason for that is because in accounting, no matter how much knowledge you learn from your education, which is always a great thing, it's definitely a building block, there's something more to be said about on-the-job experience, especially if you're going into public accounting. The reason for that is that public accounting firms know that they have a huge pool, a huge demand of people that they can pick from and who will be happy with that particular range. And you know, without us going into this whole thing about let's just change the system, let's change mindsets and everything, we can change our mindsets as individuals, and hopefully over time that'll create a bigger change. But for right now, public accounting firms will likely not change their pay structure anytime soon, and neither will a corporate type of company, unfortunately. So with that being said, I know that's not like the best thing to hear, but yes, when you are first starting out in your career, do not expect the money to equal the amount of education you have or the amount of effort and time and work you put into your job. Unfortunately, this is something that we all have to go through, is you have to work your way up from the bottom, and sometimes that means doing tasks that may not seem like you should be doing that because of your education or because of the time that you've put into it or because you're just in a different place in your life. Definitely a period of time, put your head down and just work and grind it out. And yes, it may seem like you're working a ton and it's not commensurate to how much money you're making. And there's this disparity between this is how much work and effort that you're putting into your career and this is how much you're making. And eventually over time, and as you do more experience, as you move roles, move jobs, whatever, that will balance itself out, and eventually you'll get to the point where you're like, this is how much work and effort I'm putting into this, and this is how much money I'm getting paid. Pretty happy with that. And then eventually even it'll be like this. It'll be you're getting paid a crap ton of money for the amount of work that you maybe is not as much work as you would have done, you know, 10 years ago, it may be more technical, it might be more risky, more high profile, or things that just take a little bit more analysis and whatnot. So it may seem like less work, but it's actually not. It's still a lot of work, but more high level. Anyways, I'm kind of going off onto a tangent there. But my point being is that in the very beginning of your career, I don't care if you're talking about accounting, if you're talking about YouTube, if you're talking about whatever part of work that you've got, you got to pay your bills. Wherever you are, you've got to have this like servant leader mindset almost. Like you want to help and do as much as you can. You want to grind things out as much as you can. You want to get your hands dirty. You want to like learn as much. You want to push yourself. Take on as many tasks as possible and do that now. Do that early in your career, especially as like a entry-level person, as a staff, as a senior. These are the times in your career where if you mess up, you know what, you're gonna have layers of people who can either catch it for you or help you out or point you in the right direction, or where everything is not going to be on your shoulders only if you, for some reason, don't do something the greatest. You're gonna have people who will be able to teach you, to mold you, to either tell you you're doing a good job or to set you right onto the right path again. And the more that you move up in your career into different roles, the less of that like safety net you're gonna have. So you definitely want to have a very strong foundation early on in your career, and that is why, yes, earlier in your career you may feel like you're not getting as much money as you should, and you're probably right, but that doesn't mean you pass up opportunities just because it's not like $70,000 or whatever the number that you want. Definitely recommend going onto Glassdoor.com and Indeed, other places where you can get salary information, and look at the range for a certain job position. For the most part, that's going to be pretty accurate, and I'm not saying to settle for that, especially as you move up in your career. You definitely have more room for negotiations, but as an entry-level person and knowing that there is a huge pool of people who are wanting to get into the industry, sometimes you've got to just put in the work and put in the time despite how much education you've gotten so far. Take the best offer that you can get. Go with a company that you feel like you're going to grow the most, that's going to help you, where you can see yourself getting a lot of opportunities, and that will be a springboard for your career. This is going to be a balancing act. At some point in time, whether you are 5 years down the road or 2 years down the road, whatever the time frame may be, there will be a point in your career where you feel like, you know what, I know that I am worth so much more than what I am being given right now, and that's where you can either negotiate with your current company or you can look for a different company, a different role, whatever the case may be. So for right now, if you are an entry-level person or you're someone coming out of college and you're looking for a job and you just see that the money isn't there right now, just know that getting your foot in the door first, working your way up, grinding, putting yourself out there, getting experience under your belt will all be amazing foundations for your career when you want to move on to something bigger and better. It definitely just takes some patience and just a little bit of humble hard work. Sometimes a lot of humble hard work. Those are just some of the things that were kind of bouncing around in my head whenever I saw that question come around. I hope this was just helpful to maybe get your mindset on right. Maybe if you were feeling kind of down about what you were seeing out there as far as salaries go, all of it will end up paying off. You just might not see it immediately. Anywho, I hope this little friendly sisterly advice video was helpful. I hope it gave you some food for thought and maybe just helped you change your mindset a little bit. If this video was helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to be a part of our subby fam because we would love to have you. Enjoy your journey, and I will talk to y'all in my next video. Okay. Oh, that's really tall. Come here. I apologize for my disheveled look. I threw on a necklace just to look nice for y'all, but otherwise I have no makeup on. To move to the next level where you will be paid good amounts of money. Sorry, shit. Okay, here we go.